Hey, welcome back, AP Government. We are going to start Unit 3 in these next couple videos, and that's going to be Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 for us. Think of Unit 3 as being linkage institutions, things that connect you to government. I know we cover the media, and that's definitely a linkage institution, so our elections. So to extend off of that, to kind of show you our pluralism and our First Amendment freedoms, we have political parties and we have interest groups and a number of other organizations that you can give money to influence elections, if you will. So that's what we're going to look at with Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 for week 9, I believe. I think it's we're in. We're looking at Chapter 9. And then for week 10, we'll look at Chapter 10. So trying to stay right on pace there. And then the assignments you're going to see have changed quite a bit as far as what you need to do for this week. So for your first assignment, which I believe is like assignment 26, I'm going to ask you to watch this video and then answer a question or two based on what we cover in this video. Okay. So in Chapter 9, we're going to talk about political parties. I thought this was a really good cartoon, taking a look at the undecided voter. If they're still out there, my goodness, they are few and far between. Even the unicorns don't think they still exist in some ways, but we'll figure that out as election time gets closer. If there are any people that are going to be undecided and change their vote at the last minute. Be interesting to see that. Okay, we definitely have a two-party system, and you guys know that. That's part of the world we live in is our two-party system. So I guess the question to ask ourselves is why? Like, what are some factors leading behind a two-party system? This is a really good question to ask, right? Because like, how do we get to this system? So I'm going to go through a couple points today and show you some of the historical reasoning that we have a two-party system, and then some of the other like systemic reasons why we have a two-party system as well. Okay, between the blue team and the red team, if you will. Okay. So in this unit, we're going to take a look at a couple of questions. We're going to try to answer a few of them. First off, what is the goal of a political party, right? The goal of a political party is to, number one, to win elections, right? Like that's how they get power is they actually win election and they come to power, okay? So like an interest group's goal is to shape policy. Political party's goal is to win, okay? We have a couple of reasons why we have a two-party system. We definitely have a historical reason, right? Going all the way back to like the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist and kind of starting there. Then that led to what the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans. And then it was like the Whigs and the Democrats. And then ultimately we get the Democrat Republicans, okay? We also have an institutional reason, and we're going to talk about this with election systems called winner take all. And really kind of dive in deep and show you how that system in itself is going to lead to a two-party system over time. And the reason why is because third options get very, very few votes because people realize there's no opportunity for them to win. You ultimately come down and you have a big race. And ultimately, you're going to see that it's only going to be one winner. Probably what's going to happen is there's going to be like one winner, and then there's going to be another one that comes really, really close, right? And maybe you have a runoff if it's really, really close. But otherwise, we see the third parties are going to slowly drift off. Okay. What are the functions of parties? Parties are going to do a couple things. Parties are going to nominate candidates, right? That's what happens at the convention, and we'll talk about that in this chapter. They definitely inform their constituents. They inform people. Here's the issues. They govern, right? At least they're supposed to. They're supposed to pass laws and kind of manage that part. They serve as a watchdog, which kind of means they're like investigating and always checking in on the other party. They're always worried about the next campaign. And then they get to establish a platform. Think of the platform are the issues the party stands on. Okay. The goals to cover regarding political parties, we're going to try to do this. We're going to describe the organization, talk about the winner-take-all system in this unit. We're going to compare the two-party systems to a multi-party system. I have a really cool video you're going to analyze to kind of look at like the two-party versus the multi-party system. We're going to talk about how the political party system has declined in the U.S., and that's a good point to sit on for a second. That's a running theme that we talk about in AP government, or how political parties have lost power. One of the main reasons is that we don't really emphasize the power of the party as much as we do the candidate when it comes to a presidential election. The party does not really pick the candidate anymore. We have primaries, we have caucuses, we have local state elections that determine who the nominees are for both parties, as opposed to the powerful party leaders making that decision. We're also talking about the fundraising element and how the fundraising has really kind of shifted, where people don't give unlimited money to parties anymore. Now they give it to outside organizations. So there's a couple other reasons why political parties have gone down in influence. But those are two big ones. Okay. And then we'll take a look at like this being played out, how people are not aligning themselves as I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, more or less, I'm a supporter of this candidate and this candidate, right? And it's not about the policies, it's more about the personalities as elections have become more, about a person as opposed to platform issues. So we'll get into all that today. Let me talk about the four major reasons why we have a two-party system, okay, to conclude this video, and I'll go kind of quick. The first one's going to be historical, just basically going off the Federalists and Anti-Federalists, and then it's continued on since then, right? Just kind of show you the map of America and who won the Federalists and Anti-Federalists and what that looked like. Again, a good split there between the big states in the north and the kind of the rural states in the south in many ways, and we can see how some of those states are going to be pretty evenly split in some ways too. Okay. All right. The next big reason is going to be the force of tradition. We have a two-party system because we've always kind of had a two-party system. And I know that kind of sounds like a lame reason because we can make some changes pretty quickly in America if we really get behind an issue, right? Like COVID-19 is one of those things where now wearing a face mask is more or less just accepted. It's like America public, our psyche has changed really within a couple of months on that issue, right? Same thing with gay marriage. Like that has changed in the American psyche as a result of Obergefell versus Hodges. So things can change. You just got to have a major driving force. And I guess we've never really had a strong third-party candidate that really kind of energized people to try to get behind. In addition, as we'll talk about, the system itself is going to make it very difficult for minor parties to win at least a presidential election because you have to win, excuse me, all of the state's electoral votes, or you got to win the entire vote in order to get any electoral votes. So this is what happened in 2016. You had a couple third-party candidates, Gary Johnson. He was all about saying, listen, it's not between like Trump and Clinton. If you don't like those two choices, vote for me. And I'm probably not going to win. And he, readily understood that. But what he was saying is, if I get 5% of the national vote, I can then get access to debates. I can get access in the future to federal funding. And that was the whole purpose there. The Green Party candidate, by the way, they had a party on the left, was also Jill Stein. And she was, again, trying to be more or less a splinter vote in some ways. So we do have these minor parties, but for the most part, they're fringe. They're not looked at seriously. Even this year in 2020, there's a strong Libertarian Party, but their candidate's probably not going to get a lot of percentage of the votes in the end. If they break 5, that would be interesting. Okay. And again, if you change this, if they get 5%, and I told my AP government kids this in 2016. If you don't like Trump or Clinton, but you want to vote for the third party, vote for Johnson, or vote for another third party. Because if they can get it, then they can get access to money. They get access to ballots, and they can get access to debates. So this helps to get them closer there. Okay. And this just kind of showing you how, again, the vote was heavily unfavorable towards some of the candidates, right? And Johnson could possibly had a good chance there of picking up some votes there if that correlated to electoral votes, right? And of course, we're going to see it doesn't. It didn't actually turn out that way in the actual general election. A lot of Johnson voters voted for Trump and voted for Clinton. They split off, but that's the idea. Okay, here's just kind of showing you on the other side, letting you see, what happened. Gary Johnson he won 3.27%. So he didn't win the 5% that he needed. Stein won 1%. Okay. However, what's unique about this is that the Green Party is probably going to take away votes a lot of times from a Democrat candidate, just like Libertarian takes away votes a lot of times from a Republican candidate. So we'll talk about like the best thing that Biden can hope for is a strong Libertarian candidate, because typically those votes go more Republican than Democrat. The best thing Donald Trump can vote for is a strong Green Party candidate because they take away votes from the Democrat. Okay. And I'll just kind of skip over some of these. These are some elections that took place in which like Rob Sarvis came and spoke to EC Glass. This is back in 2014 or so. And what happened was Sarvis is the reason why Ed Gillespie did not win that seat. Look at how close that was. Mark Warner won by like 20,000 votes to Ed Gillespie as a senator, right, in the Senate race. But Sarvis is going to definitely be a strong Libertarian candidate, but definitely hurt Gillespie more so than Warner. On the flip side of that, you can see what happened in the election in 2000. Ralph Nader by far is going to take votes away from Al Gore. He was a Green Party candidate. And you can see what happened there. I mean, the Electoral College vote is not as close as what really looks like here. I mean, the popular vote was tremendous. One state, Florida, is the one that decided that whole election. If you remember, that's with all the ballot recounting. Supreme Court stepped in to stop the recounts eventually to say George W. is the winner. But Ralph Nader had a big impact on that one. Okay, I'm just going to skip over some of this for now. So another big reason, third reason, is ideological consensus. What does this mean? This means that most people in America find their needs met in the Republican and Democrat Party. There's not as much, even though people might not like the Republican or Democrat Party, if you think of it kind of like a bell, curve, if you will, it's the idea that 80% of people are going to find their needs met within the Republican and Democrat Party. Okay. There might be a few fringe Republicans out here, a few fringe Democrats that want to go Green Party, but not enough to make a difference. And that's the idea of the ideological consensus. Okay. And this just kind of shows you how we've become so polarized. So here is really 2014, again, showing you that split and where we are more of this direction of maybe we're not this ideological consensus anymore, right? Maybe the middle is actually falling apart and we're becoming more isolated. Okay, and the last one, you can't underestimate this one either, is the electoral system itself. There are certain features of government, such as the single-member district and winner-take-all elections. This is probably one of the biggest reasons why we still have a two-party system, is because it's designed that way. Okay, single-member district means that you're only going to have one person per electoral district. So Lynchburg, we're in the 6th congressional district. And that means that one person is going to represent the 6th congressional district, and that'll be a Republican, Ben Cline. He's up for re-election. I'm sure he's going to defeat the other challenger because he's in a very safe seat. The 6th district is safe for Republicans. Okay. Whereas if you had a couple people, maybe it was multiple people that could represent a district, that could allow for some diversity of, votes or whatever. But look at the House of Representatives. There are very few parties outside Republican and Democrat Party that exist. And that's because of our single member district. And then you also have winner take all elections. And I talked about that with the Electoral College and how that's going to really, really favor the two parties, because all you got to do is win the most votes and then you get all the electors, unless you're in one of the weird states, Maine or Nebraska. And this makes it so that third parties, like a third party candidate, could pick up 20% of the vote. And that has happened before. In 1992, Ralph Nader picked up 19% of the national vote. Yet because he didn't win a single state, he got 0 electoral college votes. So that's one of the downsides to this system. If you look at, what's the problem with being represented, is that you could be represented by a smaller group of people that really support you because you win the most, even though it might not even be a majority. All right, so there's a little bit on that. Here's Lynchburg City. Donald Trump won Lynchburg by, a few thousand votes there. Be interested to see what happens in 2020. Okay, here's your overall playout map there. Here's the congressional districts, just letting you see like what happened. And again, the 6th district, Lynchburg is right in like here. It's weird, but like we have this little sliver right there is where Lynchburg is. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Here's the old map. I'm wrong there. So we were in the 5th district, but this is what they're saying the district should look like. I'm sorry, that's what this map is. And it's not what the map looks like. The map is definitely more skewed to have bigger districts in the Southwest. And I'll have to show you that. But the 5th district is a big one that's skewed. Okay, I'll stop there for the day, letting you see our party system and how we don't have a lot of diversity of political parties, unlike Mexico, where you see they have what's called a multi-party system. And they have a mixed member system as well. And it allows for a lot more diversity, a lot more room for compromise and working together, as opposed to just one party conquering the other. I'll pick up that in my next video. Hopefully this was helpful for you. You're going to have one question to answer for me from this video. So look forward to reading those answers. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya. Bye.